So let's start with the trim in Windows. Okay, so let's start with something easy. So we need like a trim. We need something around the window, like a frame to make it. Okay, so it might be nice. So what would I do? I'm going to start. Well, I have this masterpiece as a reference, so we will be working on this building. Okay? We will be. Okay, so imagine that you want a trim here because this is like okay. So and we want something around those windows. The first thing, if we work on the elevation, what would I do? I would use a component model in place. This is what I always do. The first option is a component model in place, and then I find out if there's something easier or faster or whatever. I select Windows because, well, what we're going to do belongs to Windows. And now what is a trim? I'm going to create extrusion. For the extrusion, I'm going to set the work plane. I'm going to pick that plane, and I'm going to pick the facade. This one, okay. And now I just trace the window. I do this. Make sure that it's closed. I finish, and then you adjust the thickness of this ring. Okay. So that's an option. There's another option that I think it's better, but it's more advanced, and I don't know if because we can modify the family of the window family. So here we modify this, so it's an object, and I can change it. I can make it bigger or smaller. Okay, so I can even edit in place. And if I edit the extrusion, I can change this to well, I will go something like this, and then this. Okay, so you can change the shape. You can change everything. So this component model in place, it's very flexible. But if you want to do this, now I have to copy this. But if you want to insert a window with a trim, we can do that by modifying the window itself. There are different ways to modify the window. If I select this and I edit type, I can change the height and I can change the width. Okay, so that's something easy. But if I want to modify the window itself, then I have to analyze what we have here. Okay? And as you can see, we have a frame in this part of the window, and then we have a different frame in this part of the window. It can be indoors or outdoors, but if we select this one, I copy this here. And then I change this, and I can change it, making it bigger. Okay. And if I load it into the project and overwrite the existing version, what do I get? Apparently, I don't get anything because I have modified probably the indoors part. So if I select this, no, I will create a section box. And then I will move it here. So here you can see the tree. You see? If you want another tree on the other side, we can copy this one. Here. And load into the project, overwrite the existing version, and then there should be a tree here in this part. Okay. We have modified this window family. So what I recommend you is to file, save as, and here we can save a family. Okay, so if you save this like a fixed window with trim, then you have saved that family. And if you open any other Revit file, by default, you won't have this family. But if you insert that family, where have I saved it? Save as family. Oh, it's in documents. Let's do it in downloads. Okay. I want to see where it is. And then if I open a new project, so in this new project, by default, if we create a wall like this, and I open this view, and I try to insert a window, this fixed window, by default, it doesn't have the trim. Well, it does have a trim, but very, very small. But if I go and insert my fixed window, fixed with trim family here, now it does have a trim, and I can edit type, and I can change the size. This height is 4. I make it 2, apply, and now the window has a trim. And it has a trim like this because in the family I didn't do the lower part. In this family, I have extended only this and this. So if I want to extend that, then I do that. I load into the project, override the existing version, and on the 3D view, now I have this trim. Okay. So 2 ways. The first way, I'm going to delete this. Maybe we want to say no, and I've already saved that family. So this is the component model in place version of that, and this is the trim version. I modified the window family. This is very advanced. Modifying Revit families. Well, that's a piece of cake because it's just changing this. But if you want to create a staircase, or if you want to create a family that you can insert, it would be great. Now my students in 120, they are modeling that staircase. So it would be great having a Revit family with that staircase so that you can put, or you can place that staircase anywhere. We can do that, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of knowledge. I wouldn't be able to do it right away. So if I think about it, probably in 1 month, I could figure out how to create a family out of that staircase. But it would take a lot of time. Anyway, so that's the trim. So it's quite easy. But I think it's better, instead of working with a trim, I would do something different. Okay? Using the component model in place. So I'm going to go to the front view, and I'm going to use the component model in place. So imagine that I have this trim, but I want to do something different. It's not a trim, it's just like a frame to protect this huge window from the sun. And I can go to the model in place, I select the windows, and now I'm going to create extrusion, and I'm going to now I'm going to first select the plane. So I want to pick this plane, the plane where the trim is. And now I can select these lines. and this one. Now I trim this because it has to be a closed loop, and I close this, and I click OK. And now I'm extending this in this direction. Okay. So this option is quite good because it's not a trim, it's something that protects this building from the sun. So if I go to display options, I cast shadows, I select the day, so a single day, well, still, so at 8:17 p.m. we don't have any sun, so we're going to select a different time, 11 a.m. And if we apply, then we see that this is not doing any effect because this is south, by the way. So this is exactly what we want. In winter, we don't want to protect the building from the sun. But in summer, if we change again the sun settings still, and we make it on June the 15th at 11 a.m. And if we apply, now we see how some of the sun is entering here, but with this protection, it doesn't. Okay, so that's much more effective. And if we don't need that part, we don't need the vertical part, we can always edit in place. We select this and we create a void form by extrusion. Okay, I'm going to set the work plane here, and I'm going to change the shape of this element. Like this. Now I trim. I do this, and this is a void. So that means that I'm subtracting the original shape from the void that I have created, and I have something cool like this. So that works in summer in the south facade, but in summer the problem is going to be west, east, and west elevations in the evening or in the afternoon. So if we go back to graphic options, lighting, still, if we change this to 6 p.m., you see that we have a lot of light entering through this. And here, the same trim that we have designed here, or the same trim, or the same solar protection, it's not going to work. Why? Let's find out. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to create architecture, component, model in place, windows, set the work plane here. Now I'm going to create extrusion. I'm going to select these lines. Now I'm going to close this with trim. Let's do this. And if I want to extend this, doesn't matter. Well, doesn't make any sense doing this. But if I extend it something reasonable, there's a lot of sunlight entering this. Okay. So for and look at this, I have extended this a lot. That would be something realistic, and it doesn't prevent Western light from entering the building. So this is exactly what I don't want. If I do this, the sun doesn't enter here. If I move the sun to noon, 17 p.m., and I apply, I have sunlight entering through those southern windows, but with this protection, it doesn't enter. Here, it doesn't enter at midday because, well, the sun probably is not facing west. I can show the sun path. Okay, so the sun in summer it's here, but if we move the sun here, and even later, there is nothing preventing the sun from entering here. So I have to design this with a different approach. Okay, so I should create something vertical and tilted so that we can have we can have protection, but we need to tilt this. We need a different angle. How can we do that? If we open level 0, we have it here, and I think I should work with a reference plane. Okay, so I'm going to insert a reference plane with this angle. So I will name it the reference plane west. And now I have to create something with this direction. Okay, so we can take the light from here, but I don't want the light that comes perpendicular from the west in the evening. I don't want that. So now I want to create a shape like that. So I can create a component, model in place. And I'm going to use extrusion. I'm going to set, well, the work plane on level 0. Okay, fine. And following this plane, okay, so now with this option, I stop the sun from entering the building here. So that's the right option for the south elevation. That would be the right option for the west and east elevation. Okay, because the sun in the evening, it's here, and there's a lot of energy that I don't want because it's summer. So I want to get rid of the sun. So that's what I would do. Okay. Trims, okay, you want the trim, but this is just like a static decision. But if you do something different, you can make it more appealing because I think the project with these kind of elements is better than without them. And at the same time, we do something important from the energy point of view. Another thing you can do is to create louvers. Okay, so let's do it. If we create, let's get rid of the shadows. So I'm going to try something different in this one. Okay, I'm going to again go to architecture component, model in place, windows, extrusion, set the work plane. Here, I pick those lines again. I extend this a little. And now I'm going to place louvers here. So I will create a section. For this section, it's here. Okay, and now this is the element that I have just created, but I want something more. And I'm going to create louvers that protect this building from the sun. So if I go again to architecture model in place, and I work with extrusion, I pick a plane, and I'm going to pick the I don't have any planes, so I have to set this into Revit 1, for example, and now I can work with extrusion. I'm going to do something like this, and now I'm going to create like start radius and this one. Now I'm going to work with tangent and arc like this, and now I want to mirror here, and again another 3-point curve like this. Okay, so I have a shape. Louvers usually have this shape, and what have I done? Oh, it's here. Again, that helps me a lot. It stops the sun. I'm going to move the sun to 12. Okay, so here again, we stop the sun from entering the building with those louvers. And yeah, I think the building is better. You have natural light because you have a lot of natural light, but as long as these louvers are casting the shadow here, the glass is not affected by this. Okay, so this is what I would do. You can do trim, but the trim is not enough. So I would do something else. So try to use these extra elements to cast good shadows on your building. Okay. So let's move on to topography. I'm going to manage the project units because I don't know area. Square feet. I have information units here. Distance, I want inches, and length, I want feet and fractional inches. And what else? There you go. Okay, so let's send path on, off, shadows off, and I'll keep this. And so now we have to create a topography. Topography, it's a pain in the neck in Revit. If you have experienced the topography, have you tried? It is a pain in the neck. So we have to be patient. We have to breathe in, breathe out, and we don't have to get angry. Okay, so if we don't want to, if we can't get what we want, that's fine. That's Revit. Don't get angry. So we will try to do something. If it doesn't work what we want, okay, so let's do something different. So this is what I do with the topography. The best way to do this is with massing inside and topo surface. It's a nightmare, believe me. Well, first, before doing this, I have to analyze my levels. So I have level 0, level -1. I don't need this one at all. And we have level 12. And I'm going to copy another one here. So that would be the level 15, no, level 13. Okay. So now I know the levels, level 0, and this is level 13 and 8 feet. Let's say level 13. Topography. If we want to work with the topography, the best decision is to work with site. If we work with site, here we see the building, and let's create a topography. If the highest level is level 14, okay, so I'm going to create a topography from level, let's say level 12, and it slopes down in this direction. So go to site, topo surface, the elevation. I'm going to start with 12 feet. And now I want to create different points. If you have tried to do that, you can notice that anytime we can create a point, and sometimes nothing happens, but sometimes Revit, the curve, reacts to that point. So if it's above the curve, it doesn't happen, nothing happens. If it's here, then the shape adapts. Anytime I can change this and I can move it, but you see that it's not completely free. So there's a point in which I can move the point, but here nothing happens, but in this direction, something happens. Okay, so why is that? I don't know. But you can select all the points or the dots that you have done here. If you move it in this direction, nothing happens, but if you move it in that direction, then it changes the curve. Okay, so we can delete one of the points, and if it's not relevant for what we want, we can delete it. Okay. And then we have to start moving down. We place a point. This is level 12. Let's work with level 10 feet, and now this is 2 feet below that level. Why do we have so many contour lines? Why? It's steep. Because it's steep. It's 2 feet from here to here, there to 2 feet. So it's steep, but not that much. Okay, let's see what we have done in the 3D view. Okay, so it's not that steep. Where can we control this? We control this in model site, in massing site, model site. Here we have the intervals. So contour line display at intervals of 1 inch, or this is, yeah, so that's ridiculous. Okay, so I'm going to type 1 foot here and then apply. And now I only have 2 lines. If we want more, because we like contour lines, we can do 6 inches. And now we have more contour lines. Okay. No more than 6 inches. It doesn't sound, because if you have a lot of lines, 1 inch every contour line doesn't make sense. Okay, so 6 inches, I would say 1 foot. But so we can always edit surface, and as we keep editing the surface, we can insert more points. But I'm going to go down 5 feet, and now I'm here. And then finally, I'm going to go all the way to 0. Something like that. I finish. And I've got this. Okay, so the building is buried here. It's like in Saudi Arabia after the sandstorm. That happened. So now we have to create a floor here. So the easiest way to do that is by working with a building path. If we work with the building path on the site plan, the first thing we have to do is to select where the building path is. So by default, it's level 0. So let's create a rectangle. So if we create a rectangle with the footprint of the building, then we go to the 3D view. Well, something works well. If we move the section box, okay, is this what we want? Okay, not really, because those windows go up to the floor. Okay, so this is not exactly what we want, but we can create another building path. Okay, so if we go again to massing and site and create another building path, I can create like a courtyard in front of the building. And now that's different. Okay, so now at least I can go out. But that's not enough, because what about the west and the east? So we need an exit here. So by creating different building paths, I can create another rectangle and do this, and another rectangle here. This. There's something wrong with this one. Yeah.
You can only do one pad at a time.
Probably, yes. You're right. Okay, let's do this. So that works. Okay, so I have these elements, so I can go out. And with the other one, yes, I have to create a different building path, another rectangle, because you can't do that either. So if you overlap two building paths, it doesn't work, okay, because there's an overlap. So I thought that was happening, but now I can do this. I can move this in this direction, and now it works. Okay, so it's getting better. We can create building paths at different levels. Okay, so I can create a new building path instead of level 0, or I can create level 0, but I can have an offset, let's say 3 feet up. And now I create a building path here. So that's the effect. Okay, so sometimes if we want steps, so if we want to open some steps, it's not a run. We are going to open different steps here. So we can work with different building paths. I'm going to a boundary on site. This is going to be something like that. And the level, instead of 3 feet, I want this level to be, what's the height of
6 inches.
6 inches? 6 inches. Okay, so now I have the first step, and now with the building path, I can create another boundary line here, let's say 3 feet and 6 inches. And the level here, it's level 0, but now it's 1 foot above that level. And then I'm going to create another building pad. And I'm going to create another rectangle, the same 3 feet 6 inches. And now it's 1 foot and 6. So that's nice because it's like I'm carving the topography, and it's getting better, I think. Okay, and then we can use the last one. It's another building pad. I'm going to make it bigger, and this is 2 feet. Okay, looks good. But the more you work with the topography, the better the project will be. So take your time, think of what you want to do, because especially if you're working with this, the project that you're working with in 330, I saw that you're working with this boat house or whatever, and you need to think about the topography because you already have the topography. And doing this, I mean, it's not just placing a building like this. So when you have a slope, you have to try to the building make something when it's on the slope. It's not just placing the building there and just creating a path in the footprint of the building. You need to extend the footprint of your project beyond that, and working with levels, it's very attractive, but you need to see what you want to do with that. Okay? And working with building paths, it's great. Okay, so that's what I would do. Oh, and now we have the most important thing when it comes to Revit topography. Okay, when we are like this, when the section box is bigger than the topography, so it's not solid, as you can see. Okay. But when you do this with the section box, then it becomes a solid topography. And if you take a section, you see that the topography is something solid here. Materials. Do never use the manage materials, by the default topography material, which is this one. Okay, never. It's forbidden. Okay, don't do it. So what we have to do is to first thing we have to do is to change the material. So I have pasted here like, and I can share those materials with you. So little by little, I'm creating my own library or material library with things that go well. And that's, believe me, that's very important. Light colors. Don't do something dark brown, dark gray. It's terrible. Okay. So if you want grass, dirt, what I usually do is when I have something that I like, then I select the same material. I open this material with Photoshop. So let's open. This. Okay, so it's a good texture just by brightness contrast. You can save as a copy, as a JPEG, and please do not save it as a PNG. It doesn't work. It has to be a JPEG. Okay. So if you do this just by changing the color, you can get good things. So try to work with these kind of textures. Okay, so we did this for, those are the tiles that we have here in the ceiling with this material. And we're working with travertine because it's very nice and it has a pleasant color. And this is more yellowish, this is more grayish. Okay, but those are the kind of textures that will work well in Revit. So for the this is too green. Okay, so I'm going to open it with Photoshop. And if this is too green, I'm going to make it lighter with contrast, and even with hue and saturation. If you make it less saturated, it will work better. Okay, so I'm going to save a copy, and this is RAS 22 copy. Okay, so you work on your library, and first thing, select the topography, change the material, and we're going to create a new material, and let's work with topography. The appearance, select the image. It's in my desktop, Revit. And this is the topography, no, it's a RAS or whatever, RAS 22 copy. Another piece of advice by the sample size is 1 by 1. I think I've explained that before, but if you do this, if you apply, you will see that now the color, it's better, but you see that the pattern, and I have selected this texture so we don't see the pattern, but it's too small. So, but you can tell, well, probably you can tell in the screen, but there's like a grid. If we want to get rid of that grid in this material, we have to make the sample size bigger. 10 feet, it's now, no, 10 feet. It's getting better. Then for the pad, can we use now the building pad? Apparently, do we have a material here? We do. We can go to structure, and I'm going to use a new material. I'm going to call it travertine. I'm going to use the image of travertine 1. Which one is the best? Okay, number 1. Again, make the sample size slightly bigger, is 5 or 6 feet. And apply. Okay, so that looks much better. Okay, when we have this effect, this annoying effect, that happens because the building pad that we have here should be lower. Okay, because we already have a floor to this, but there's something here that doesn't work. Okay, so probably what's that? Is that the topography? Maybe, or maybe it's the building pad. I'm going to select all these. I'm going to select only the pad. No. I want to select this pad. And I'm going to move it slightly down, maybe 2 inches would be enough. And yeah, now it works. Okay, so there were 2 elements that were at the same level, and that's why we have this effect. But now I think it looks much better. Okay, so textures. Textures make a huge difference, and if we cast shadows, everything looks nicer. Something else we can do, we can extend the material in the topography, so we don't need to we don't have to create another building pad. If we work with massing and site and create a sub-region, and we just do this. Okay, so now we have changed that material. If we go here and create again travertine. Oh, no. Here. I don't know why it doesn't work with travertine, but we can apply different materials to the topography itself. And again, that makes a difference. So can we do something different in 5 minutes? Because there's something that annoys me, is that you can't create like a buried. So I'm going to get rid of everything. We can create a buried building, for example, with a green roof. What if we create a topography and the level of the topography is above the building? So let's start with 20 feet, and I'm going to create like a mountain or a hill above our building. So then I create 15. Then 10. And finally 0. if I look at the elevation, now the building is there. Very good. If I finish and I do this in the section, the building is buried. Okay, so we have the walls, we have the partitions, but the topography is there. I can always use the building path, and that works for side building path. So that will work. I'm going to use wireframe. That will work for the courtyard. Okay, if I have a building path, then I can see the courtyard. But if I want to keep that, because I want a green roof, okay, so that's the green roof. So the building is underground, but in the section, the building is, so the courtyard is free, but the building is full of solid. Doesn't make sense. So if I work with the site and I work with the original building path for this, now, yeah, the building is free, but I don't have the effect of the green roof. So I haven't found, maybe there is a way, but I haven't found a way to do that with the topography in Revit. But there's a way to do it with. But I will use another in-place mass. And with this, okay, I need first to create reference planes. I'm going to create a reference plane here and another reference plane there. And I'm going to name them 1 and 2. And now on this section, I'm going to draw topography, but without using a topography. I will use massing and site, in-place mass. I'm going to set this on reference plane 1. And I'm going to build this way. Why can't I see it? Okay, finish. Make sure that everything is it's included in the section box. Now I can trim. Section. Okay. I close this, then I copy this shape. Copy. I'm going to select this point. And now I'm going to change the host. Here. Change to reference plane 2. Okay, so I have created 2 different curves. Then I can modify these curves. I can make it, I can always edit this. And by selecting these 2 curves, I can create a solid form and able to create, because there's something wrong here. Well, it's not working. What I want to do is to, let's see, does that works? Okay, and that's in reference plane 1. Okay, so if I create the same shape on reference plane 2, see, now I will select up. I'm just going to select these 2 shapes. Oh, form. Okay, that's what I wanted. So now I have created a mass that is here. Okay, and now I can edit in place, and I can create this building path with a void form. And that void form can get up to this point. And now I finish. Okay, so now apparently I have the same that I had before, but if I have the section box, the building is empty inside. You see? And this topography, we can always select this, and we can edit in place, and then we can select the topography, and we can change the material with manage. We can change the material to the topography. Okay. We're getting late, but that's another way to create topographies. I like this way better because the topo surface, I know it always gives some problems. With this topography, you can create a complex topography, and then by editing in place and creating voids, you can always do something like this. Then go to the 3D view, and if you select this and create a void form, you can always subtract elements from the topography. Okay. and there should be a way to apply materials here. Yes. I like this option. I could continue, but it's 9:07. It's too late. You are still young people, you have to sleep. And that's it. So stop recording. And as soon as I